Most scams don't feel like scams. They feel like normal work.
That's a very striking sentence.
It is the kind of thing that makes you pause and, look at your own inbox a little differently. Today, we're going to take a look at a topic that's a bit different for us.
Hmm.
We usually talk about firewalls, exploits, the technical side of security, the Hollywood hacker
The
stereotype.
person in a hoodie typing furiously,
Exactly. But today, we're not talking about hacking computers. We're talking about hacking people.
which is a much more complex problem to solve.
We're looking at a presentation called This is What Social Engineering Looks Like, and the title is accurate. It looks nothing like what I thought.
And that's the core issue, really. The source material we have today is a breakdown of how modern manipulation works. And our goal here is to dismantle this common myth that scams are obvious or sloppy.
Yeah, that image we all have, the email from a foreign prince, or the text message with glaring spelling mistakes.
We see those and we think, who could possibly fall for that?
But the source makes a very clear point right at the start. Those are the failures.
Exactly. And if you're only seeing the failures, you're missing the entire picture of what success looks like. The goal here is to explain why intelligent, competent people are often the most vulnerable.
That was the part that really stood out to me, this idea of a competence trap. That being good at your job can actually make you a better target. But let's start at the beginning, with the core misunderstanding.
Let's do it. The first section of the source covers common assumptions. It lays out what most people believe a scam looks like.
That they're obvious, poorly written, immediately suspicious.
And this belief is the first vulnerability. If you're scanning your email for typos and you don't see any, you might subconsciously label it as safe.
It's a simple filter. Bad grammar equals danger. Good grammar equals what, safe?
Essentially, yes.
Ah.
And the source argues that these beliefs are so persistent because the successful attacks are, by their nature, invisible. They don't make headlines.
It's a form of survivorship bias. We only study the scams that fail.
Precisely. And effective social engineering operates, as the slide says, below the threshold of suspicion.
I like that phrase. It suggests we all have this sort of internal radar for danger, and these attacks are designed to fly just underneath it.
And it is a deliberate design. The source makes the point that the gap between our perception and the reality is engineered. Attackers know what you're looking for.
They know I'm looking for the Nigerian prince.
So they make sure their attack looks like a routine invoice or a calendar invite from a colleague.
So the goal isn't to be shocking. The goal is to be boring.
In a sense, yes. The goal is to be unremarkable, to fit into the background of a busy workday.
Which brings us to the next section, the reframe. This was a significant shift in thinking for me. It says social engineering doesn't attack technology.
It exploits normal human behavior.
Specifically, cooperation, trust, and routine.
All things that are necessary for a functional workplace. You're expected to cooperate, to trust your team, to manage your tasks efficiently.
So the vulnerability isn't a bug in the software. The vulnerability is me trying to be a good employee.
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
And this is where we get to that counterintuitive idea we mentioned. The slide is titled, Why Intelligence Doesn't Protect You.
I think this is so important because there's an ego component here. We all think, I'm too smart for that, or I'm tech savvy, I wouldn't get tricked.
Oh, but the source states that intelligence and competence do not provide immunity. In some cases, they actually increase exposure.
Okay, let's break that down. How does being competent at my job make me a bigger target?
Well, let's look at the factors listed in the source. First, trust networks. Professionals, especially senior ones, operate within large networks built on trust. More vendors, more colleagues, more projects.
Well, a bigger attack surface.
A much bigger attack surface. Then there's routine operations. Competent people are often very efficient because they do the same tasks repeatedly, approving invoices, sharing documents.
It becomes muscle memory.
And muscle memory is the enemy of critical evaluation. When an action is familiar, the brain bypasses the verification step to save energy. You just click approve.
It's like driving a familiar route. You get to your destination and don't remember the actual journey. You were on autopilot.
Exactly. And attackers love autopilot. But the third factor is probably the most subtle. It's cooperative defaults.
This sounds like a culture issue.
It is. Most workplace cultures reward responsiveness and helpfulness. Pausing to question a request can feel unprofessional.
Right. It feels like you're being the bottleneck, slowing things down. No one wants to be that person.
And that social friction is what the attacker relies on. The source puts it plainly. Competence often means more responsibility, more access, and more vulnerability. You have the authority to make decisions.
So you're a more valuable target. That's the competence trap.
It is. The framework shifts from "I was tricked" to "I was operating efficiently within a system designed for trust."
So now we understand the why. Let's talk about the how. The source details the emotional triggers, and again, it's not about what you'd expect, like fear.
Fear can be a component, but for the sophisticated attacks targeting organizations, the goal isn't fear, it's familiarity.
The presentation lists three main design features. The first is urgency.
This needs attention right now. The mechanism is that time pressure limits our ability to think clearly. It narrows our focus.
You're just trying to meet the deadline. You're not checking the email address signature.
You don't have time to stop and verify. You just act. The next one is authority.
This came from leadership.
Hierarchy is a powerful tool. Even in a flat organization, a request from the CEO is treated differently. You're less likely to question it.
It feels disrespectful or like you're questioning their judgment.
Right. The social risk of questioning authority can feel greater than the security risk of complying.
And the third trigger, which I found interesting, is a positive one. Relief.
Yes, problem solved easily. This taps into our desire for completion. We're all overloaded with tasks. An email that offers a simple, one-click solution to a problem feels good.
It's a little dopamine hit. I cleared a task. I checked a box.
Exactly. Resolution feels better than scrutiny, so they offer you a simple way to make a problem disappear.
The source then gives a scenario. The quick favor, it calls it an escalation ladder.
It's very subtle. It begins with initial contact, a short, reasonable request with a familiar tone. Something like, "Hey, are you at your desk?"
I probably get 5 messages like that every day. Got a minute?
And that's the point. You respond, "Yes, what's up?" And with that, step one is complete. You've engaged.
And then comes building momentum.
That small yes creates a psychological commitment. You've already agreed to help, so you're predisposed to continue helping.
The foot in the door technique.
It's a classic for a reason.
Mm.
Then comes the quiet escalation. The request gets slightly larger. "Can you check this invoice?" Then, "Looks like it was rejected. Can you resend to this new account?" No single step feels like a huge leap.
You don't notice the water getting hotter.
By the time the big request comes,
Yeah.
the wire transfer, you're already invested in the process. Backing out feels more difficult than just seeing it through.
And this all happens in what the source calls friendly platforms. LinkedIn, Slack, company email.
These platforms are designed to lower suspicion. Communication on them is expected to be cooperative and professional.
The context itself provides credibility. If someone messages me on our internal Slack, I assume they belong there.
Right. You assume they've been vetted. The platform acts as a substitute for verification.
A digital version of seeing someone in the office break room. You don't ask for their ID.
Precisely. And attackers use what the source calls internal-looking messages. They mimic your specific company's culture.
It lists 3 ways: routine appearance, process references, and cultural mimicry.
Routine appearance just means it looks like a normal business operation. A standard DocuSign email, a calendar invite, nothing flashy.
Process references means using the right internal jargon.
Exactly. They'll say, "File the Q3 reconciliation report," not "Send me the money." They use your vocabulary. And cultural mimicry is about tone.
So if the company culture is very formal, the email is formal. If it's casual, with emojis.
The scam email will have a smiley face. The source points out that attackers conduct research. They observe your public communication patterns before they ever make contact.
They blend in rather than breaking in.
Correct. But there's one more key element which the source gives its own section. Speed is the weapon.
The slide says automatic compliance, limited evaluation.
Speed is designed to eliminate that pause where verification happens. In a business context, responding quickly is seen as a positive trait. It's efficient.
I know that feeling. If I can answer an email in under a minute, I feel productive.
And hesitation, on the other hand, feels obstructive. Questioning a request can feel like you're slowing everyone down.
Attackers weaponize our desire to be helpful and efficient.
Yes. The source has a line. The goal is to make slowing down feel wrong. They use our own performance metrics against us.
Which brings us to the real vulnerability. The source is very direct here. It says, "I'd never fall for that." It's not confidence, it's the absence of process.
That's a key insight. It distinguishes between feeling safe and being safe. Familiarity creates a feeling of safety, but it isn't verification.
So just because an email looks and sounds like it's from my boss doesn't mean it is.
A writing style can be copied. Tone is not proof of identity. The source defines vulnerability not as a personal weakness, but a procedural absence.
So the problem isn't that I'm not smart enough, it's that I'm relying on my gut instead of a system.
Correct. And our instincts aren't really evolved for this kind of digital deception.
Yeah.
So the source provides a system. It lists practical vigilance rules.
Okay, this is the actionable part. 3 steps. The first one is delay.
Just insert a deliberate pause. Before you respond, before you click, just stop for a moment.
Break the momentum. Disengage the autopilot.
That's all it takes to start. Step 2 is verify. And this is where the most critical rule comes in, the third channel rule.
Explain this one. It's so simple, but very effective.
The rule is never verify a request in the same channel where you received it.
So if I get a suspicious email,
You don't reply to the email asking if it's real. If the attacker controls that email account, they'll just reply, yes, it's real. Now hurry up.
you're asking the fox if he's in the hen house?
You have to switch the medium. You get an email, you make a phone call. You get a text, you send a Slack message. You get a Slack message, you walk over to their desk.
That seems to be the crucial step. It breaks the attacker's control over the interaction.
It does. An attacker on another continent cannot answer your colleague's desk phone.
But there's social friction there. Calling the CEO to verify an email feels awkward, like you're wasting their time.
And that's the cultural hurdle. But if it's a legitimate request, they'll appreciate the diligence. And if it's not, you just save the company a massive headache.
That's a good way to frame it. Okay, so delay, verify, and then step 3 is respond.
Only after verification is complete. You act based on the verified information, not the initial request.
Systems work when emotions don't. That's the core idea.
It is. A process removes the guesswork and the emotional pressure. You just follow the steps. It's a verification default, not a cooperative default.
So to summarize everything, the source says, scams don't look suspicious. They look reasonable, familiar, and appropriately timed.
And that's why they are effective. The goal is to change your own response pattern. When you see a request that seems perfectly normal and timely, your new instinct should be to pause and verify.
It's not about paranoia, it's about procedure.
Exactly. Awareness is good, but it's not enough. You need to have a process that you follow, especially when you're busy.
The idea isn't to stop trusting your colleagues, but to stop implicitly trusting the communication channel.
Well said. The goal is to normalize slowing down for verification. To see it as a part of being efficient, not an obstruction to it.
That feels like a significant shift. We're all trained to prioritize speed.
We are. And as long as we value speed over verification, we remain vulnerable. Attackers are counting on us to move too fast to think.
This has definitely been eye-opening. I'm going to be thinking about that third channel rule quite a bit.
It's a small change in behavior with a very large impact. Remember, if it feels like normal work, that's part of the design.
The source material leaves us with a final question to think about. It says vulnerability isn't a personal weakness, it's a procedural absence. And it asks us to consider, do you have a process or just a feeling?
That is the essential question.
Thanks for this deep dive. A lot to think about here. We'll catch you on the next one.